The Bears are what we thought they were. They're what we thought they were. We played them in preseason. Who the hell takes a third game in the preseason like it's bull? We played them in the third game. Everybody played 3 quarters. The Bears are who we thought they were. And that's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
NFL, oh, I miss you so. NFL, when you left, there was a hole in my soul. Now it is home until the Super Bowl.
Hey YouTube, Sandyfrank here. This week's episode of Let's Have Some Football. We haven't done one of these for a while. We usually get excited for football season at the beginning of the year, do our little survivor pool contest, and then we kind of get away from doing these episodes. But I wanted to bring it back this week. The season has been really interesting. There's some stories I want to talk about this year, and also we know the NFL playoffs are coming up here in a few weeks. But more importantly, the fantasy football playoffs are going on right now, and yours truly, Sandyfrank's fantasy football team, we actually went 9-5 during the regular season this year. Finished third place. Our fantasy league has an AFC and an NFC of 7 teams each, and we won our first round of the playoffs. We were playing the number 2 seed. Got the win. Big week. One of our biggest weeks of the year. Thank you, Lamar Jackson and Devontae Adams. And we advance to the AFC Championship game this week, where we're playing the number 4 seed. The number 4 seed shocked the entire fantasy football world and took out the number 1 seeded team. So, pretty excited for the fantasy football playoffs this week. So, first we'll talk about some of the NFL stories that I wanted to hit. The Lions, man, they have been unbelievable this year. Their offense is insane. One of the better offenses that we've seen in the league last 2 or 3 years. The Buffalo Bills also, just these 2 teams have the best offenses in the NFL, but maybe their defenses aren't quite up to snuff, especially maybe the Bills. They've been involved in some crazy scoring games, and Josh Allen has definitely looked like an MVP this year. I was thinking Lamar Jackson might be an MVP candidate. He still is, but he's definitely gotten passed up by Josh Allen. Just a one-man wrecking machine there in Buffalo. And they are going to be a handful come playoff time. And in the NFC, what happened to the 49ers and the Cowboys? Maybe not that surprising that the Cowboys have been very underwhelming. But, man, the 49ers going from Super Bowl to basement team in the NFC West. Wow. Really shocking. There's been some injuries, and the 49ers have had their share of injuries, but this longer season may not be the best for the NFL. I definitely loved it way more when it was 16 games. This, I don't know if it's 18 games or 17 games now. I think it's 17. 18 weeks, but 17 games. I liked it better when it was a 16-game season. These guys, it's a war getting through a season. And, some of these guys, you add another game, and, it's just, we're seeing, I think, the result of that with, it seems like, more injuries. And the players are getting faster and bigger every year. Pretty rough. But, the teams, it's a survival league. You got to make it from the beginning of the season to the end, and one champion. And will that be the Chiefs this year? The Chiefs have been interesting. Of course, that's my team. Mahomes has had one of his worst statistical seasons, but this team, they just win and win and win. They have the one loss to the Bills. That was the only game that was not like a one-score game until last week. They easily beat the Browns, but still didn't look like dominating. Just the Browns turned the ball over, I think, like 6 times that game, at least, maybe 7. But the Chiefs, I feel like the Chiefs, they are holding a lot back for the playoffs. And that's kind of like what they've done these last 2 Super Bowl runs, is they have saved back some wrinkles, and they unleash them during the playoffs and end up looking, unstoppable. So we'll see if that happens this year. I mean, they've pretty much got the number 1 seed locked up. It's not officially locked up, of course, but they're getting close. I think they have a 2-game lead on Buffalo, and they need to keep a 2-game lead because Buffalo would have the tiebreaker if they end up tied. So, go Patrick Mahomes. Of course, my favorite player, being a Chiefs fan. I think their offense is much better than last year. And you might say, what? But they have actually guys that can catch the ball. And I think, like I was saying, I think they got multiple running backs that can get the job done. It's that left tackle has been a problem for them. But maybe they can get things shored up by playoff time. So, yeah, the NFC, I mean, you got the Eagles in the mix, the Vikings. But they seem like lesser powerful teams. I mean, the Lions are really good. The Lions should easily make it to the Super Bowl, I think, on paper. But the Lions are the only team in the NFC, I think, that has a real shot at winning the Super Bowl. AFC, you have several teams. Of course, the Chiefs, you've got the Bills, you've got the Ravens, the Steelers. You got a plethora of dangerous teams. Even the Texans are kind of dangerous. All right, so let's talk about the fantasy. A lot of fantasy leagues are in their playoffs this week. I'm actually recording this before the game on Thursday. So the Broncos at the Chargers. I'm trying to look at these games in a fantasy perspective. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about the NFL perspective. But the Broncos and Chargers, I'm really wish J.K. Dobbins wouldn't have got hurt, because I have him on my fantasy team, and I'm getting kind of thin at running back. But I think the Chargers win this game. The Broncos have been really good, and Bo Nix has been shockingly good this year. I think the Chargers get it done in this game. They really need to win badly, and I think they'll find a way to get it done at home. The Texans at the Chiefs. I actually think, Mahomes, he injured his ankle last week, and at the end of the game, he was walking on it and stuff, but you could tell he had a little bit of a limp. If I was the Chiefs with this 2-game lead for the number 1 seed, I would rest Mahomes this week. Let him get a week off. I mean, we're in a pretty safe position. You have a capable backup in Carson Wentz. Let's just roll out Carson Wentz this week. Give Mahomes a total free week off. Let him get that ankle in a better shape, and see what happens against the Texans. I think we could still beat the Texans with Carson Wentz. It'll be a big game for the Texans, as they want to show that they're one of the big AFC teams. But that's going to be a very interesting game, especially if Mahomes does not play. And so fantasy-wise, the Chiefs' numbers would be down. Texans, Nico Collins has been really good. He's been very effective. I don't think C.J. Stroud is you're like a number 1 starting quarterback in fantasy right now. All right, Steelers at the Ravens. Oh, this is such a good game. And these 2 games are on Saturday, by the way. So we have a full weekend of football. The Chiefs game is at noon, and then after that will be the Steelers and Ravens. Boy, those are two delicious games. It's going to be a fun Saturday. I'm definitely going to be watching those two games. This is one of the biggest AFC games of this season. I think, I don't remember who won the first matchup. I think the Ravens might have beat the Steelers the first time. But the Ravens need to beat the Steelers this week because they need to catch up a game. And the Ravens looked really good last week. My fantasy team relies heavily on the Ravens since I have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. That's another story for NFL season. Look at these running backs. It's been the renaissance of the running back this year. Saquon has been fantastic for Philadelphia. Derrick Henry, he's kind of slowing down as the season has gone on, but he is an older player. But he was so dominating in the first half of the year. The big-time running back and running offenses have definitely made an impact this year. Kind of a look back maybe 10 years ago at the NFL or 5 years ago. Really interesting to see, and it's been fun. I'm a fan of running backs doing stuff. So in this game, though, Steelers at the Ravens, from an NFL perspective, just delicious matchup. I think the Ravens win this. I expect a big game from Lamar Jackson, even though they're going against the Steelers defense. They just look like they are getting ready to make a nice little run here, these Ravens. And Derrick Henry, they're not overusing him. He can have a nice game, but I think Lamar is going to do a lot of running on his own, and that's a little bit dangerous for Baltimore, because if Lamar gets injured, on one of these runs that he's doing, that could be really bad timing for that team. And the Steelers just find ways to win. Russell Wilson has been fantastic for them. I thought he was kind of at the end of his career, but man, he is doing great things there in Pittsburgh. And man, Mike Tomlin, great coach. Okay, but for the Steelers, I don't think they're going to score a lot this week. I think the Ravens are going to win that by at least a touchdown. And guys, if you're doing like, I do fantasy football league. Our league is just for fun, not these DraftKings or whatever. I don't have money on it, so don't take what I'm saying in this crazy little YouTube channel as like gambling advice. No. I'm just giving my perspective on these games, and I just do it for fun. All right, so the Giants at the Falcons. These are the Sunday games. The Giants are so terrible. I consider them the worst team in the NFL. Falcons should win that easily. I think the Falcons will score. So guys like Kirk Cousins and Drake London and Bijan, they're going to have probably good games. You don't play anybody from the Giants right now. Lions at the Bears. This is actually a decent game, I think, being at Chicago. I don't know what the weather's going to be like there, but I hope it's snowing. That would be a great snow game. The Lions, they are on such a roll. They're coming off of a tough loss last week. Jared Goff has been fantastic. Their running game, unstoppable. Amon St. Brown. I mean, that offense is the best in the NFL right now. They should win, even if there's like weather in that game. The Bears are kind of like, they gave it their all, but they can see the writing on the wall. Caleb Williams hasn't been terrible, but he hasn't been great. I actually am very thin on running backs. I'm going to play DeAndre Swift this game, unless he's hurt. I think that the Bears will get a couple touchdowns in that game because the Lions have been giving up a lot of points. So I think I hope DeAndre Swift has a decent game. So I definitely think the Lions win that game by at least a couple scores. Browns at Bengals. The Browns are pretty bad. Jameis, famous Jameis. He's been fun to watch, but he's great. Jameis is great, but he showed the ugly side of Jameis this last week against the Chiefs. Uh, he is very prone to turning the ball over, and that's been the reason why he hasn't become a big name. He can move the ball down the field, it just is not careful with the ball. And the Bengals are doing everything they can to sneak into the playoffs. I expect a huge game from Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Chase Brown. The Bengals will win this game huge, and the Browns are, they're sliding quickly. Titans at Colts. This one, a very uninteresting game to me. The Titans have been very pedestrian, I would say, on offense. I would not play any fantasy players from either one of these. Well, you might play like a Jonathan Taylor. I don't know if he's healthy right now, but this is going to be not a super exciting game. I would avoid it. Rams at the Jets, except I think the Colts will win. Don't get me wrong there. Rams at the Jets. The Jets have been playing a lot better lately. Devontae Adams was a great pickup for them, reuniting with Aaron Rodgers. He had a monster game last week. Got my fantasy team into the championship game, the AFC championship game. Playing the Rams, they're going to have to score. This is a fantasy, potential fantasy big point game here. Rams give up a lot of points. It's at the Jets. Man, it would be tempting if I had Aaron Rodgers to play Aaron Rodgers this week. I'm definitely going to play Devontae. You probably want to play your main Jets players, Breece Hall, players like that. The Rams, you got Puka, is very good. I don't know how good Matt Stafford's been this year, but you would think he would have some scores this week. But I think the Jets will end up winning that game. The Jets seem like a more of a team that's doing better right now. So Eagles at Commanders. This is another great game. A great NFC game, NFC East. The Eagles have got a huge lead in that division and are playing really well. But the Commanders are not a joke. Jaden Daniels been fantastic. I think he's seems like the rookie of the year this year. I actually think the Eagles win this game, though. They've just been on a really good roll, and when the Eagles get on rolls like this, they usually come through. I would think A.J. Brown's going to have another big game after his little temper tantrum. They got him the ball more this last week. Thank you. He's on my fantasy team, too. And they're getting the tush push going again. Yeah, Eagles will probably win that game. And I think there's going to be some points to be had in that game because the Commanders can score too. Cardinals at the Panthers. This is actually more of an interesting game than it sounds like. Bryce Young's been playing really well this past month, and they could win that game. I don't think they will, but they're going to make it very competitive. And James Conner has been really doing well there in Arizona. Ever since he's gotten there, he's been great. I have James Conner as my one of my running backs, so I'm hoping he continues to have a good streak here. It's at Carolina, so weather should not be a factor. I think the Cardinals win this game barely. It's going to be a close one. Vikings at the Seahawks. Vikings have been one of these teams. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Chiefs, where they're not like winning games big. It seems like. I haven't been following them as close as the Chiefs, but then you look at the record, 12-2. Very nice year for the Vikings. I think they win at Seattle. Justin Jefferson probably have another great game. Sam Darnold has been great for that team. That's been another big story this year. But I think the Vikings will win that game, and it'll be, not a blowout or anything, but they should win that. Patriots at the Bills. whew, man, I hope you're not going against Josh Allen this week in your fantasy playoffs. And James Cook. Yeah, this team is they're a wrecking ball right now on offense. I mean, you look at their last 2 games, it's crazy. And the Patriots don't really have anything to stop them. So the Bills will win that game easily. And Josh Allen will have a very solid game, I would think. Jaguars at the Raiders. Oh, this is a terrible game. These 2 teams are jockeying for position for number 1 pick. I just feel like that. Neither one of those teams wants to win that game, because whoever wins is going to be kind of out of that number 1 draft pick race there. So it's going to be ugly. It's going to be who wants to lose this game worse enough. Avoid this game at all costs. It's a shame because Brock Bowers, he is quietly becoming the best tight end in the NFL. And yeah, and he's on a bad team, but man, has he been impressive. It's amazing that the team's 2-12. That's why I think that they're kind of jockeying position for the number 1 pick. So I actually think the Jaguars will win this, just because I think the Raiders want to lose it more than the Jaguars. 49ers at Dolphins. 49ers are in a really bad stretch here. I think the Dolphins win this. Yeah, the Dolphins need it more. The 49ers, I think, just seem like a team that just, they've kind of, I don't think they've given up, but they just don't seem to have that urgency. And man, it'd be tough if you're counting on 49ers in your fantasy playoffs. I mean, Kittle's been really solid, but Dolphins. Johnny Smith has been fantastic. I don't know what has gotten into him. Maybe they've changed their offense a little bit, but he has had a whale of the last 4 or 5 games, and he's my fantasy tight end. So go Johnny Smith. I would definitely play Tyreek Hill. I would not play Jalen Waddle. He's got some type of injury problem right now. He's trying to make a go of it, and he's just not 100%. So, and A-Chain, those guys should all have good games. It's at Miami. All right, Tampa Bay at Dallas. It's the Bake Show going to Dallas, the Big D. I think Tampa wins that game pretty comfortably. Dallas seems like they're trying to get things back together, but they just don't have enough to beat Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay just seems like a stronger team right now, and Dallas really does not have much of a home field advantage. So I would go Tampa Bay in that game. As far as like fantasy players, I think Baker Mayfield will have a decent game, and I don't know a lot of their offensive weapons, but you would think they would have a decent game in that one. Rico Dowdle's been really good lately for the Cowboys, so he'll probably have a decent game. Saints at the Packers, Monday night. By the way, that Tampa Bay at Dallas game is going to be a pretty good game, and it's the Sunday night game. Monday night game, Saints at the Packers. Doesn't seem like it's a great game for Monday Night Football. The Saints definitely are in a struggle right now. The Packers have been playing really well, and they're making their playoff push. I think this is an easy win for the Packers by at least a touchdown, you would think. So, I would freely play my Packers stars in that game if I was in the fantasy playoffs, which I am, but I don't have Packers players. All right, so that's it. Go my fantasy football team. Go Chiefs. A lot of interesting games, especially Saturday. It's going to be a great day of football. Go catch some games. There are going to be some good games this weekend. And, like we say, let's have some football.
Adios, mofo.
Vinny Testaverde, yeah. Vinny Testaverde, yeah. Vinny Testaverde, yeah. Testaverde. He's the best quarterback in the American Football Conference. Eastern Division. He throws every pass he makes on a frozen road. He's Vinny Testaverde. Yeah, Vinny Testaverde. Yeah, Vinny Testaverde. Yeah, Vinny Testaverde. He's the best quarterback in the American Football Conference. Eastern Division. He throws every pass he makes on a frozen